How y'all doing? I'm Lance, and today I want to talk about how to break into tech. When I was getting into tech, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was about to get laid off. I didn't know it at the time, but I knew I wanted to transition, but I was about to get laid off as well. I knew I had lots of various skills and a lot of different things, but I never graduated college. I had no degree. I dropped out of college 3 times. And so trying to figure out what am I going to do based on what my history was and where I was coming from. It was tough, but I always knew that I had a knack for technology, right? I knew that I like making music, so I had to deal with equipment from time to time. I know how to install software. I know that, the job that I was working at, that I had to coordinate technical things and stuff like that. And so I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to get into tech? What is the quickest route that's going to take me, a person who's never had a job in IT, to get into tech? And for me, it took quite a few steps that I want to go over today. One thing I want to explain is that tech is not just for the techies. Tech is not just for the nerds, so to speak. Though I would probably identify myself as a nerd. It's not for the people that you necessarily would think are only reserved for those kinds of things. Tech is for people who are self-starters. IT is for people who aren't afraid to learn things, who aren't afraid to break things and try to learn how to fix them. You don't have to be a math genius. You don't got to have a computer science degree. You don't have to be a hacker or programmer per se. I'll take my example, right? Like my example is when I worked prior to IT, I worked for the government. I worked for a number of years. Then I worked for a church for a number of years. None of those things had anything directly to do with IT. But I know I had a strong set of soft skills, and I knew that I was willing to pick up any technical aspect because I was into music and I was into figuring out software issues and things like that. So I knew that I knew I had interest. I knew there was some overlap. That is something I want to stress. When you are getting into tech, right, don't downplay the experience you already have, right? Because for me, I had all those skills and I was trying to figure out what the overlap was. But like I said, I had good soft skills. I had I've taken apart MacBook Pros before because I had really old computers and had to replace the battery and trying to figure out how am I going to make this thing live. You went down the YouTube rabbit hole and trying to figure out how to fix it. And I did. Was experience. And at the time, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that those different, and I had a lot of experiences like that. Those individual experiences build up. When it comes to getting into tech, you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get your hands dirty. One, you have to be willing to learn. And two, you have to be willing to try things, right? When we talk about what do you need to learn, I'm talking about the courses, for example, that I had to watch. When I landed my first role, I didn't have a whole lot of experience outside of what I just explained, and also going down a YouTube rabbit hole and then running into courses that I found that were helpful for me. At the time, I heard that the CompTIA A+ was what you needed to take in order to be knowledgeable and to be able to get into IT. So I watched Professor Messer courses. I'll link those in the description. But those courses helped build a background of knowledge for me as I was even doing the interviews and learning how to talk and learning how to say the right things. Now, luckily, my analyst role, they didn't expect me to know every single thing, but it gave me a leg ahead when I was putting on my resumes that I'm currently studying for my CompTIA A+. What I would suggest, right? Watch those videos, learn and do. Learn, and for me, it was those A+ videos, and when I got my first IT analyst job, I continued to learn, so I started watching Security Plus role videos from Professor Messer as well, who also made the CompTIA A+ videos, because I wanted to get my Security Plus certification. I decided not to get my A+ certification because I was already kind of doing the work. Still valuable information. I got my Security Plus certificate, and I continued to just grow from there, right? I continued to grow. I continued to take on more projects at work. I started kind of being able to initiate and suggest certain things, technical things, just from wanting to try things, wanting to do things. I'm a guy, again, I ain't got no business doing this, right? Really. But I did. I had the nerve. I had the drive because I was like, this is going to work out. I want to learn this. I'm going to pick these things up. And I know I'm not going to like everything, but I know that ultimately skill sets are built. You're not born with them per se. You may have natural talent, but you got to learn some things. I got my Security Plus certification while I was on the job, and then I ended up transitioning to an MSP. That's where I'm at now, and that's a whole new world. That's a whole new world. I go from this internal IT person at a private school, right? Because I got that private school job from networking, from talking to people and figuring out how can I get into IT. And I did the same thing to get into this MSP job, but the landscape was much wider. People talking about routers, people talking about switches, people talking about, software I'd never heard of. Remote management, what is all this about? I was willing to learn and I was willing to grow. And I knew even if I didn't have all of the technical knowledge, I was going to nail all my interviews because of my soft skills, and I was going to try to do my best at explaining those technical concepts, even the ones that I didn't fully grasp yet. I'm kind of all over the place, but learn and do, right? Watch courses, do things. Some of the things that I did was a home lab, right? I did a home lab. I downloaded VirtualBox at the time, was what I was using. Downloaded the trial version of Windows Server, and I just went down a YouTube rabbit hole of what I could do with that. I was breaking down equipment at home, purchased a firewall off eBay. How does this work? How do I get this working with my current at-home internet, my Wi-Fi? What is that even all about? Put those resources in the bio of the things that I kind of was able to interact with like that at no cost, and then I'll put like some links. There'll probably be affiliate links, just full transparency in there as well. Does help out the channel. I want to leave with this. My journey, which was a person who's got laid off from a church and didn't have no experience in IT, and now I'm, 5 years into IT. It was very much an intentional journey. Like I had to want to do some of these things because IT is not one of them things when you're trying to learn all these different concepts and you're trying to learn how to maintain, design, all that sort of stuff. It's not going to be something that you're going to want to keep doing unless you have a reason for doing it. My reason for being in IT is because I wanted to be in a role that was financially stable. I wanted to be able to scale up my income relatively quickly because before that I was taking on like a lot of work that I wasn't necessarily passionate about, or the ones that I was passionate about, they weren't paying much to support me, support my family. Like, me, my wife, my 2 dogs, I had to make something happen. And IT is one of those areas where it's based on what you know along with the who you know. And I can respect that. Me, I want to be able to build wealth. I want to be able to have assets that last. I want to be able to help others. I want to be able to have a legacy that's long standing. And this is a tool that allows me to do that. That's my why. I'm not saying it has to be your why, but that is my why. Feel free. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's going to be a series. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different things. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Again, I'm Lance. Peace.